Saints find themselves headed once again the salary cap hell to the tune of about 63, 65, 66 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. But help may be on the way. There's a couple angels. Ryan Ramczyk, Taysom Hill might be able to alleviate some of that. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So our previous video, when we were talking about the 63 million in cap hell, was about Derek Carr being the linchpin. Made the case there. If you want to go back, I'll post a link to it somewhere up here. You can go click on and watch it in full or refresh yourself on anything I had to say in that one. I think the only thing when it comes to Carr, more and more I'm getting the impression, especially since I did the video, especially some of the stuff post game after week 18 Tampa Bay game, they're going to work something out with him and some type of restructure. And I think he's coming back in 2025. We'll see. But it's not my opinion. That's not what I'm saying I want him to do or anything like that. It's just my opinion, my feeling that that's ultimately what's going to happen. So we're going to start with a little bit about Derek Carr because, again, video made the point that he's going to have – he already has $10 million guaranteed for 2025. He's getting that check no matter what. If he's still here March 17th and we haven't reworked the deal, he's getting another $30 million in guarantee. That $40 million can't happen. And I'm willing to concede that he can get $20 million of it. The 10 he already has, and then 10 of exactly 1/3 of his, as of right now, unguaranteed 2025 salary. And the reason why I'm just refreshing on that, and I'm making a clear point, what I'm about ready to do right here, I need this number to right here, this 66 million. And last week it was 63 million. That's now 66 because the Saints added 3 players that will be on their roster as of right now in 2025 in a couple of months. So their total was, I think all of them are at 960,000. It was 3 of them. So you're increasing that number almost 3 million. Kind of irrelevant. That number's still going to be fluid, and we're a little ways away from knowing exactly what it's going to be. But when it comes to Carr, I'm just going to do this. We know he's definitely getting this, and there's nothing we can do about it. We do not want him getting all of that. And if he's on the roster March 17th, he will. And this number is the same as this number because for some idiotic reason they list it twice. That's going. And I think what's going to have to happen is, now this is where I don't want comments because I am just making this up to get the numbers where I think they kind of need to be for all this to go on. And in no way, shape, or form is this actually going to accurately reflect what they're going to do with that contract. But what I think they're going to do in some way, shape, or form is this, is spread out that cap hit. Hopefully it's 20, could be more, but they're going to string it along somewhere along the way that you can work the math a lot of different ways and how they're going to sum that up, where they're basically going to use him to cut the over the cap by half. So I think that's the main reason why he's coming back. And I'm feeling like he's going to come back in 2025 because he's the guy that they can do that with, which is all along why I thought he was the linchpin. I even feel like that deal's probably mostly worked out right now, and you'll hear more about it in the upcoming weeks. Assuming that's in some part correct, what I think is going to happen here is these are the two that play heavily into it for different reasons. One, we know, unfortunately, Ramczyk is retiring. He reworked the deal. Now, you could designate him one of the two post June 1st cuts, or you could have him retire because I think it's going to be more of a retire situation than a cut, but the math works out the exact same on this when you do it. More than likely, he's going to retire. And when he does, the options would be to do it right at the beginning or wait till post June 1st. If he does it initially, it's dead money's 23 million. It gives the Saints a cap savings of 6 million. If he waits until retire after June 1st, there's going to be technically 18 million in cap savings, but you won't really see any of that until June 2nd and or at whatever point he retires from then on. And you're kind of splitting his dead money up instead of taking it all this year. You're splitting it up between 2025 and 2026. So I feel like what's going to happen there? He retires. You save 6. And the real thing here is if you go ahead and eat the whole thing, look what happens in 2026. You get some savings there too. Because you've eaten everything this year and you have enough room to save yourself 6 million while you're doing it. Hey, it's a no-brainer which way you go on that. Then we move to Taysom Hill. Clearly state this. Since Drew Brees retired, Taysom Hill has been my favorite Saint. And it pains me to do the conversation we're about ready to have. But deep down, I think both sides, the Saints and Taysom Hill, understand this needs to happen. See, keep in mind, he's 35 years old. He coming off not only a bad knee injury that so far the reports are pretty good on him coming back from that, but the various other injuries, really for the first time in his career, he was banged up an awful lot. That being said, he's still a pivotal part of our team, especially what we're trying to do on offense, assuming no changes happen there. But the deal with Taysom that just makes this kind of an untenable situation is, now this is all unguaranteed, but 10 million sitting there. That's a lot for as cash strapped as we are. Now, since it's unguaranteed, we can cut him and we accelerate all this dead money, the prorated bonuses, all 3 of them. The sum net total is you cut him, you save about a little over $250,000 off that salary cap. I think the route to go here, and I don't want to kick too much down the road, but I think you have to bring him back. Have to understand, look, we just can't give you 10 million this year. We might be able to give you 10 over 2. Something along the lines where you're going to have to throw some money at him in a signing bonus. At that, you're looking at kicking $1 million a year between the 3 years. Taking this down to some type of base minimum. And making up numbers here, but there'll be something on the back end to kind of compensate him for it. And assuming goes, we're going to try to get you. We don't know if we'll have you for all part of 2025, but we'd like to keep you around for 2025 with the opportunity to play in 2026 if A, you want to, B, you're healthy enough, and C, we've got everything fixed by then where we can still use you as that guy that we've been using the last couple of years as kind of that battering ram when we need him, but also showing under Kubiak the way they were using him, the way he just tilts the field and puts defenses in a lot of trying to figure it out where we're going to line them up and how we're going to use them, and them having to play. It's been said a lot about playing some base defenses, not getting overly exotic just by the fact they have to wait and see how Hill's being used in the formation and in the play. So I don't exactly know how that looks, but you've got to cut that number at least in half or spread it out over 2 years, which I think both sides would like to take the shot to keep him around to at least 2026. But those 2 moves right there, along with what we're thinking. So we think they can cut that cap hit roughly in half by reworking, restructuring, or giving him a completely new deal, however they're going to do it with Derek Carr, taking the $6 million outright from Ramczyk's retirement, and then trying to split that 10 million. I that's the best way I can explain it. And I think both sides would be on board with Taysom, where he's just not going to stick around and get the whole 10 million this year. We're going to have to split it up, but it kind of gives him the guarantee that we want you back in 2026. I think we do, as long as the health situation works out. And I get the feeling Taysom's going to play for or want to play for many years. So I think in a lot of areas, some kind of agreement can be there, because once you get this thing to 18 million over the cap, remember we're showing 3.5 million of cap savings. So that automatically reduced from 2024, that automatically reduces to 15. And we have a lock, stock, barrel of veterans. Unfortunately, we're going to, Foster Moreau probably comes in that. I'm pretty sure comes in that conversation. Saunders, Shepard probably come between those three. 4 or 5 million you save cutting them. Jamal Williams, definitely. I think Cedric Wilson. So you're getting about 5 players that roughly are rolling about 2 million each in cap savings on average. Now you're taking about another 10 million out at 18. That 18 becomes an extremely workable number. There's also guys with guarantees. One comes to mind is Granderson. He's guaranteed something like $7.7 million, which is his whole salary for this year. You can easily roll part of that into a signing bonus because he has multiple years, including void years, still on his contract. So it works out to something like you could give him 3 of that in a signing bonus, give him 4, whatever, adjusted base salary after that as the rest of the guarantee. So he's still getting his money. We just get to split. I think it comes down to we'd be adding like 600K, 700K per year for those 5 years, doing somewhere in that neighborhood. But that clears up another couple million. Olave's on the last year of his deal. So it's Taylor. If you're thinking about keeping those guys around, I think you have to do it with Olave. You're looking at extending them, which entails a signing bonus, which you can shave a little bit off of what you're going to do with those guys. You get the idea. So, I mean, I think you just can't quite. You just can't quite look and see how all this benefits in the long run. I get it, because I don't either. But until you fix that cap problem, you're just hamstrung and trying to do the stuff. You got a lot of this roster that you have to turn over. The closer you can get doing it with the fewest number of players, the easier it is to actually start turning players over this year, or at the very least, knowing by the beginning of 2026, you'll be able to turn them over. We'll go into greater detail, but I mean, it's completely obvious at this point. I think the defensive line needs a complete overhaul. The defense needs a complete overhaul. We need some playmakers, some athletes. We've been saying this for a while, but it has really shown up this year. Loyalty is so much. And I should have mentioned that the deep down, I want to be loyal when we're talking about having to make some adjustment to Taysom Hill. I want to be loyal to him. He is my guy. But there's some my guys on that defensive side that I'm looking at and going, it's time to move on. I think Cam's done, and I think he's probably going to be a post June 1st cut. But that's just part of the deal of having to rebuild everything. The defensive line, some of that can be done in the draft, but some of it is going to be developing players. Some of it is going to be freeing up some money where you can go get free agents that are actually free agents that are going to help you. You need to solve that issue, but you can't do it without the money. So whoever the new head coach is coming in, whoever Mickey's comfortable with and want to hire, it doesn't really change the fact that if you have to get this under control using the least number of players possible. So once you have it under control, and I just can't keep reiterating this enough, you're not tied to anyone at that point. Even if they're a cap loss when you cut them instead of a cap savings, you have to have the ability to go, I'm sorry, but we're going to eat that extra $4 million. If you want to play, you're going to have to go somewhere else. We need somebody younger, cheaper, and just with more potential to be around longer to rebuild this team, get this organization back where we need it to go to. And it's kind of part two of the jump start on how do you fix $63 million of hell. It's not going to be easy. Tough decisions are going to have to be made. Unfortunately, they're going to have to do some stuff they probably don't want to do. They're going to have to do some stuff as fans, and we're not going to want them to do. But I guess everybody just has to live with the consequences of all the wrong decisions they made over the last 3 or 4 years that just totally got yourself in this position. I mean, this is the point where you take your medicine, you deal with it. A lot of that's going to have to be in 2025, and then you move on. Try to get healthy again. I guess just the best way to describe it. I mean, the cliche it is what it is 1000% appropriate to the mess they find themselves in right now. They did it to themselves. Fortunately, everybody has to take the brunt and the pain of that. And that's where we are now. So, first time here, please go ahead. Let's do the feed the algorithm thing and make YouTube happy. But please give me a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Let's keep building the community. Keep building the Black and Gold Network. Drop comments. You normally do. I'm sure y'all gonna have something to say about this one. Because this whole salary cap mess is just it's a touchy subject. It's something that has to be dealt with. And everybody's like, well, head coaching is more of a priority. That's necessarily not incorrect. There are all kind of priorities on this team right now, but this is one that if you want to build for the future with that new head coach or those new draft picks or whatever you're going to do, this problem is going to keep coming back in your face until you solve it. So, also, below there's the merch shop. Best way to support the channel. Go check it out. Something you like, something you see. I do say thank you in advance for purchasing. So, till I see you next time, I'm Tim. Peace out and who dat.